SFL faithful, welcome to the SFL State of the League address. Any questions you have throughout the night, please make note of. We will have a Q&A session at the end. I'd like to make a special mention to King Havo, who has spent so many hours on improving the editor, last offseason and this one, to make our league better. In the offseason, I and Game Day Operations Manager Jermaine Smith will have discussions about when a move to the new editor is feasible, or the best option as we move forward. Havo has expressed his frustrations with the sim community's selfishness and expectations of him with nothing in return. Rest assured, the SFL does not recognize that community. We recognize selflessness reflected in our people across the league. I also want to mention our new SFL advertising campaign. It'll be $5 for a 30-second ad, $10 for a 60-second ad. Those are audio-only ads, and $15 for any video ad. You can start making those advertisements for the playoffs. They are free for the last 3 games of the playoffs, and the payments won't start until next season, and those payments are a one-time payment for the full season. We've gotten a couple of new advertisements to go along with Alan JD's channel. If you're interested in supporting your channel, league, or business, please contact us at simulationfl@gmail.com for more information. Tonight we will take a look back on Season 6 and look forward to our bright future. You are here tonight because you believe in our efforts to build a true sim football league and community, which celebrates the game of football in all its glory, in between the lines and on your devices. When Season 6 began, the SFL's mission was to put a better quality product out on the field. Far too often, our commentated games and games in general were blowouts or games that, especially towards the end of the season, the general public didn't care enough to stick around and watch from start to finish. I took a chance, followed my gut on the idea of running a multi-network operation. While the vast majority felt it was a major risk, while a few thought I had lost my mind, in the end, unlike other times during the league's history, I couldn't have been more right, and am very thankful for that. The mission was a success. Despite adding 4 more teams and more than doubling our schedule, the average point differential of a SFL game in games through March 20th was 11.79, closer than last season's 14.89 figure. Furthermore, our spotlight games carrying play-by-play commentary averaged a point differential of 10.65. According to SportsOnEarth.com, which detailed an article about the average NFL game, the average NFL game's point differential is 11.2. Considering the mere 3 years the SFL has been in operation, to have gotten our league to the competitive level of professional football is a major achievement and proves the sim football, rather than the user-controlled, button-smashing league model, is the victor from a competition perspective, especially when it is as controlled by those who are passionate and veteran to the cause. I'd like to take this moment to remind everyone about the 3 remaining games on our schedule. We've played 100 of the 103 games on our Season 6 schedule, and Sunday's Conference Championship doubleheader will be our next to last step in the process of Season 6. Sunday at 3 is Queen City and Baltimore, the 2 road teams from the Gray Conference. One in upsets over Sioux Falls and Minneapolis last weekend. They will square off in Buffalo Sunday afternoon. Greg Morris and I will be on the call. At 6 p.m. Central, the Houston Hyenas will travel to the Louisville Wolfpack for the Teal Conference Championship. Please make sure to support us whether your team is still in it or not, so that we can make our last 3 games of the playoffs memorable. Saturday, April 16th, is the SFL Championship game with myself, Greg Morris, Damon Simeon, and Stephen Mullinex. Then we had our conference semifinals last week. At the end of regulation of our 4 playoff games so far this season, the average point differential was 1.5. Since the NFL expanded its playoffs to 12 teams with a wild card round in 1991, the NFL has only once had a first-round playoff weekend with 2 overtime games, and has only once, in 1992, had all 4 first-round playoff games end in one-score contests, making last week's SFL Conference semifinals the most competitive in recent football history. And man, were there some great games this year during the regular season. Baltimore's opening night win was a sign of the quality of football to come. OKC and Houston's 121-point evening. The epic Sioux Falls San Francisco shootout and Bulldog comeback. Game-winning drives in the final 2 minutes or in overtime from Minneapolis, Carolina, D.C., Oklahoma City, San Francisco, Orlando, Baltimore, Dallas, Sioux Falls, and probably more than I'm forgetting. We'll never forget the iconic moments either. Greg Corky's one-handed catch to win the game at the goal line as time expired. D.R. Sims' tipped pass touchdown. Matt Wilson's brilliant touchdown throw to complete an incredible fourth quarter surge. It's hard to believe that for 5 seasons the SFL operated in any different way. When the league had one game on a night, good teams or bad teams, for better or blowout, that was all we had to offer. Needless to say, we won't be going back. On average, each SFL team got 4.25 games on the main network with commentary, down from 8 the previous year. But as the league promised, what the teams lost in commentated games they would gain in 4 additional games. And those 4 additional games, now a 12-game season, has helped teams like DC, Cleveland, and Tallahassee identify problems and turn seasons around, and help the league to identify the issues surrounding San Francisco's ownership and leadership. Speaking on the vacant ownership position in San Francisco, the SFL owners voted last week and successfully agreed on the next chapter of the Bulldogs franchise. The league is now in the process of working on the team's new logo, graphics, and presentation for the official announcement to come at halftime of the SFL championship game. For all those who applied and did not receive the team, there will be plenty of coaching opportunities to continue to build a pedigree within the SFL opening up this offseason, and we encourage everyone to stay with us because one day your big day will come. The Bulldogs will have a new identity and will be leaving San Francisco. The Bulldogs' 3-point loss to the Dragons in Week 12 was the last SFL game in San Francisco for the foreseeable future. The SFL's time in San Francisco will forever be an important part of our league history. The Bulldogs were one of 2 teams that for 6 seasons remained true to their roots with the same identity, logo, city, and stadium to call home, Orlando being the other. San Francisco compiled a 20-35 record with two playoff appearances and 1 championship game appearance after pulling off still to date the biggest SFL postseason upset when the 4-4 Bulldogs topped the 8-0 Crabs in the semifinals. San Francisco also hosted arguably the greatest simulation football game ever played, the SFL championship game in Season 5 between Santa Fe and DC. Fitting that the only team to win a championship game in Bagnod Memorial won the last game played there. Following the struggles with San Francisco, I identified a few major obstacles standing in the way of the league to further our mission to provide the SFL experience to as many as possible. The way the league functioned could not keep up with the demand of the product, and we had to make adjustments quickly so as to not lose any more people than we already potentially lost due to our failures to communicate quickly. The board of directors was born. Ronnie Nickens of the Cleveland Vipers, the original creator of the contract system, a sim football supporter of mine since 2010, and a great friend, mentor, and man. My dad, Michael Irvine, who has spent many hours with me on the phone after midnight talking, discussing, instigating conversation about all aspects of the SFL, and who has personally been through each and every trial and tribulation of the sim football project started in 2009. Thomas Paternitti, a once Thorne, a brash, highly intelligent, respected, and insightful individual. Stephen Mullinex, a respected journalist, a newcomer, a doer, and a true believer. These 4 individuals were the right people to give us answers all of the SFL ownership groups could find agreeable. While their task is just beginning, the level of commitment led by the BOD but shown throughout the SFL sets us apart from every other league out there. There are plenty of leagues with deeper pockets, plenty of leagues more relevant, but I am convinced that no league has as many passionate people than the SFL. The SFL demands attention from those who seek what we can provide, not with an iron fist, but with our people and with our product. The board of directors is part of continuing that reality. So what are the goals? What are these goals the BOD will be seeking to reach? Number one, the SFL will ensure that in the near future, all user players will have control of their contracts and will play a direct role in the player market with cause and effect, negatives and positives for owners and players alike. It should be said that the board of directors has reached an agreement and is in full support of a model which will be voted on by owners later in the month that will allow that to occur this offseason. Number two, the SFL will have a more structured way of submitting weekly adjustments to cut down on the week-to-week errors of export and input. Number three, the SFL will better communicate with new signups with a redesigned signup board, which will in more detail discuss what options are available in real time to all new signups. Number four, the SFL will better manage league conflict, establish more rules and procedures in the rulebook, not just unwritten, and continue to strive to support all who wish to be a part of our great and growing organization. And it should be mentioned that the board of directors has revised, added some rules that were not previously in our rule book, but were rules to the league, and have made our rule book more accurate and more robust upon approval of owners at owners meetings later this month. Once decisions have been made on these matters by the BOD, they will go to ownership for approval. This will occur during owners meetings, as I said, in late April, early May. Mullinex and I have been hosting a new show, SFL Playoff Primer, which is currently on our YouTube channel and the homepage of our website. Mullinex's involvement with that show and with the BOD is important to the SFL's future. Our first major league announcement tonight. League headquarters plans a move this July to the DFW Metroplex, where better internet is available and where Mullinex is also located. It is unclear how this move and the timing of this move will affect SFL Season 7, which would have normally run from June to September. My new job will dictate the altered SFL schedule, but rest assured we have no intention and see no reason for the SFL to not have a summer or fall season. This move is strategic, not only for the league, but for my family's careers. I plan to enter into a new position in the sports digital and graphical media space, using all I have compiled in the SFL and our league documentary, produced and directed by Emmy Award-winning documentary filmmaker and owner of the Tallahassee Pride, Frank Gooden Jr. The documentary will air sometime in 2016. It is a monumental point in the league's history, as it will likely be our strongest marketing tool for years to come. Those who have contributed to the project believe it is a made-for-TV film, and those efforts to make that dream a reality will get rolling this spring. With the move, I will be able to be closer to my dad and to my sister, who will start college in a year. It's an exciting time. During these times of change, the league will be spending time improving our infrastructure in the ways mentioned earlier. I don't believe the SFL needs further adjusting to our number of teams or our schedule. We're proud of what we've built and now just want to make it stronger. Once we are stronger together, we will revisit those discussions. Part of becoming stronger is establishing a better communication channel, a unique communication channel for the SFL. Facebook can be intrusive to personalities outside the league, and often strangers from across the nation and across country borders are carrying on new discussions every day, something that Facebook can make difficult in making those connections quickly without awkwardness. Our message boards, started by league enthusiast, player, and coach Doug Bose, was a great step in the right direction to get players specifically more involved in the conversations. But with league owners and coaches operating through Facebook channels, the disconnect was forged, and when comments were made on the message boards, users were only able to be notified via email. Not good enough. That disconnect will be no more. Our second major league announcement tonight. The league is partnering with Slack, a messaging app for teams to make their communications more simpler, more pleasant, and more productive. Now, owners, players, coaches, and fans will have a chat room to socialize in every day with notifications straight to your phone via the Slack app, which can be downloaded to any Apple or Android smartphone. We will also have a new Game Nights channel, which will provide members of that channel game score updates straight to you. Teams will now have a private chat space to discuss strategy with owners, coaches, and players of that team. Any member of the SFL on Slack can private message one another, and users can be tagged in a conversation just like on Twitter using the @key plus username. Want to start a threaded conversation, create a post, or upload a file? Anyone who is a member of the group can comment on it without comments getting lost in the shuffle. The app's best feature is each individual group you are a part of has custom notification settings. Want to only get notification settings to your phone when your current team is talking? Sure. How about if you only want notifications when someone tags you in a conversation or a post? Done. Or enjoy everything the app has to offer at all times. After 10 p.m., the app will automatically go to Do Not Disturb mode, which can also be set at any time, so ongoing discussions don't interrupt something more important. Please enjoy this quick tutorial of Slack and the next generation of SFL communication, interaction, and team building.
Welcome to Slack. Slack is a new kind of messaging for teams, bringing all your communication together in one simple place and integrating with the tools you already use. What's different about Slack is that team conversations are organized into channels. You can create channels for departments, projects, office locations, anything you like. Public channels are open, so anyone on your team can pop in to see what's going on and join the conversation. Nice! Great job, everyone! It's not just about messaging, though. You can also share files, images, PDFs, documents, spreadsheets. Look, I've got them right here. You just simply drag and drop them into the right channel, like that. You and your colleagues can add comments along with the document, making collaboration more contextual, transparent, and efficient. If you have a project that's confidential, you can create a private channel. Only the people you invite to the channel will be able to join. And if you need to reach someone directly, you can send them a direct message. It's totally private and secure. You can also send a message to a group of people. It's a great way to communicate with your teammates in a short-term, lightweight sort of way. Oh, this should be good. By the way, if you're offline in another application or just doing research, Slack can notify you when an item needs your attention. Let me get right on this. Everything you post on Slack is searchable. Messages, notifications, files, even the content within those files. Oh, see? There it is. Now, about those integrations I mentioned earlier. Well, with Slack, you can plug in many of the tools and services you already use, and have notifications from those systems appear in whatever channels you choose. Oh, thanks, I think. Best of all, Slack works the way you work. So if you're on the go, you can start a conversation on your desktop and pick it up on our mobile device. Everything's in sync. More productive, more transparent, more efficient, and no more email. That's Slack.
The SFL's Slack has already been set up. Owners will be receiving invites to our new communication system tonight, and players and coaches, along with anyone else you guys want to invite, will get invites tomorrow. Improving our league infrastructure with Slack and other adjustments, namely the BOD's projects, is the most important mission this offseason. I believe the SFL can grow into a group of hundreds, with every player's destiny in the league controlled by a user and every owner working with a group in an effort to win a championship. Our way to build is through our players and through an effort to connect with one another. As an owner in the SFL, owners started out as the sole person guiding an entire team. A few teams still operate in that way, but that way is old school and does not reflect our evolving mission. That way only benefits one person, not all people. The SFL believes every person who wants to be a part of the league, who shows a desire to help and learn, should be able to do so. We can't provide an endless amount of teams. What we can provide is ownership willing to be a part of those efforts. This will be a constantly evolutionizing process that is going to take time. Players, coaches, and owners have to find their footing and find their way. The SFL, in a way, is a social experiment, a place we believe can be your place to get away, your place to have fun, your place to find your happiness. A place, it's a place where I found mine, thanks to all of you. Without you, the owner, coach, player in this league would be nothing more than something to do when I'm bored. Some found expectations of SFL ownership, coaching, and being a player confusing over the course of the season. Let's clear up what I believe is the expectation. Everyone has work. Everyone has family. Those who finish their time at work and spend time with their family and then have a passion and desire to gravitate to the SFL next or towards the top of an individual's free time list are the ones who will be at the forefront of our future and the ones that we want controlling our gameplay and success on the field. For those not controlling the quality of play on the field, showing up to games and being active in the community is all we ask. To be a valued member of the SFL Society, with tools now provided for you to become further involved on the strategy side. When people work hard, it's amazing what can come of it. The proof is in the pudding of Season 6 and every season since Season 1. Our efforts to build are working. What a season for Stevie T. Diggs in Cleveland. A player drafted last season who took over coaching a team who needed help, who flourished and had such a good time being involved with the team, he didn't even apply for the vacant ownership position. We want those stories coming out of all of our organizations. There are plenty of owners in the league that want to control the play calling and can continue to do so. But why not bring more up to speed to build a true team? After all, to truly be an owner, being the leader of a group of people, large or small, is what it's all about. And we try to strive for a realistic experience as much as we can. The league is strong. We're down to 4 teams. Those conference championship games are on Sunday, and the excitement couldn't be more energizing to our future. The Rise as One hashtag and graphics are starting to have a more meaning and value as our future begins to take shape. I can assure you, our league has never looked better, and as always, we will continue to grow in that regard as much as we can, despite the aged graphics of the game that makes keeping up with the graphical times more challenging. We have over 300 followers and subscribers on Twitter and YouTube, over 400 on Twitch.tv. Our website traffic in January 2016, 2,887 sessions, was the most popular month on record for SimulationFL.com. Our 6,761 sessions in the last 3 months is the most popular 3 months of traffic in league history. In September of 2015, at the end of Season 5, our website sessions had sunk to 852, our lowest month of traffic during a season since the middle of Season 3. We knew we had to put out a better entertainment product. We did, and the results speak for themselves. Since SimulationFL.com launched in April 2013, 13,263 unique people have visited our website. More than 40 million people watch the NFL every Sunday. There's plenty more football fans out there we can reach and shouldn't be discouraged while we find new ways of attracting them. If you aren't aware, here's a list of all the people who helped make this season a success. Tim Johnston, Kyle Walsh, Frank Gooden, and Damon Simeon helped the league stream games across our family of networks. Johnston also made all of our intro videos for the season and started the Playmakers segment of SFL halftime shows. Doug Bose started the SFL message boards and the Inside the SFL podcast, co-host with Dwayne Drew. Greg Morris narrated Playmakers and later produced it, along with Jason McGee. Kyle and Jamie Walsh helped edit together and narrate game break videos. Jermaine Smith created all of the SFL teams, number by number, player by player, for months over the offseason in order for us to produce our epic games. Alan Drum, Jack Rose, and Quinn produce blogs regularly to help boost our website content and traffic. The common misconception is that I do it all. I don't even come close to doing it all. Owners and play callers are directly responsible for the quality of football put on fields every night, and so many help build the experience around us. If you are interested in getting involved in those ways, please let us know by emailing us after the broadcast at simulationfl@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening to tonight's address. I will open up the floor to questions after a 3-minute break. Please post them in the chat room and I will answer in order. Stand by, and thanks for listening. All right, we're now in our Q&A section of the State of the League address. I believe the first question was asked by Majesty 95, if I can talk when I'm done. Sure, I don't see why not. Just give me a buzz. Next question, will the model for ability changing of our players change as well? Will current player contracts change under the new model? To Jason1347, we do not anticipate, of course, everything is still needing to be approved by owners in ownership meetings, but the board of directors decided that they did not want to change the contract structure of bronze being 1 year, silver being 2 year, gold being 3 year. However, they did put in a specific opt-out clause with no penalty on 1 silver and 1 gold contract, so players can move up and down the ladder this offseason, and user players have the ability to get better on our league ladder and be able to sign some new deals, especially if they were bronze stars. So that has been discussed and that has been put in. There is a brilliant new rule book that has been put out there by the board of directors that they've been working on. So in terms of the number of abilities being changed, that's completely up to owners and the board of directors, and whether or not the league feels like there needs to be a rule change there. To my knowledge, there is no expected change to the 2 ability changes per off season, but that's all in the owner's hands during owner meetings, and whether they want to go with what the BOD has recommended or whether things want to be adjusted there. TJ CAG SFL asks, I understand if the new editor is used, teams will be rebuilt from scratch, which would be correct if we do go to the new editor, which Jermaine and I will discuss in the offseason. So number 1, can we edit more than 2 abilities? As I mentioned in Jason1347's question, that's really all up to the owners. And can we name coaches, etc., so that they don't all say Ray or Spradling or whatever. And yes, if we do go to the new editor, I would like to see coaches named, but I don't want us. I am not in favor of seeing Wile E. Coyote as the head coach of so and so. It should be the person directly responsible, the head coach of the team, the owner of the team, the coordinator of the team. They should be the ones that have their name in the coaching slots. And I would be absolutely in favor of getting those coaches' names and the way the coaches look adjusted if the new editor makes sense for the league. Lord Raider asks, is the background music too high? I can shut it off. I just had it going because I figured it'd be better than just me yakking. All right, I'll shut it off. No big deal if it's too distracting. Oh, well. Sorry, Doug. I guess you don't get everything. Lord Raider asks, opt-out. Is that for the player? Well, okay. Never mind then. It was a little high, but it's better now. Lord Raider asks, opt-out. Is that for the player or the coach, or can either use the clause? So what the BOD has done, and any member of the BOD that's here tonight can correct me if I'm wrong in understanding. But what the BOD has done in terms of the opt-out, that 1 silver, that 1 gold, that's for the team to decide who to release. Now the player can also decide to opt out, and what the BOD has decided or recommended for approval of the rest of the owners is that it's a cause and effect. It's a reward punishment system. If you opt out early as a coach or as an owner of a team, if you opt out of a player's contract, then you face signing a new player with less abilities. Same thing with a player. If a player opts out of their contract too early, then they must sign at a minimum on that level when they sign with a new team. So there's incentive to stay with your current team and with your current players, because otherwise your players have a drop tick in talent if they decide to go to another team, because they're in a new team, they're in a new system. It wouldn't make sense that their talents would 100% translate over to that new team. And in the cases that it does, it's mainly a system that's put in place to reward commitment to teams, players, and franchises across the board by all parties involved. As T Paternity is discussing in the chat. Jason1347 asks, has there been any discussion regarding more hands-on pregame settings each week? Example, putting our best cornerback up against a team's best wide receiver in the defensive matchup. So there hasn't been current discussions on that. Obviously, that is a game prep issue. With all the games on my system and everything sort of running through league headquarters, it's very challenging already as it is to get all of these games ready to go and get all of these games played. Often, my system isn't even available for me to make those type of adjustments because it's simming a game to be aired later in the week. So it's a game day operations setup time issue. Now, we are discussing putting a few of the games on another system and trying to do it in a couple of different ways from a couple of different locations so that we can be a little bit more detailed in our game day preparations. But until that is figured out or becomes a reality, we just can't say that we can add any more to our game day prep category. It's pretty much writing at full capacity. Udoncha asks, can there be a money value for coaching so if other teams want that coach, they can have an offer available? I don't know that the money for a coach is necessarily something that a detail that needs to be discussed. If a coach wants to leave a team to join another group, I feel like that is absolutely within their right, and they should be free to make those decisions for what's best for them and their coaching career in the SFL and their future in the SFL. At Lord Raider 77 says that they'll talk on Facebook more about it, but remember, you're going to be talking on Slack. And give us just a minute. We have to pause briefly. Hold on. Okay, we apologize for that. We're back now. Any more questions about the State of the League address, about Slack, how it's used, what you can do to use it, etc.? Obviously, you can watch this all on demand. You'll be getting an invite to our new communication system and app And you can download that app on your phone. If you don't put it on your phone, you can enable desktop notifications. There's a number of ways to sort of get it on your devices. TJ CAG SFL, it's not necessarily it takes less than a minute. It's we have 100 games on the schedule, and it's hard enough getting all of the adjustments correct, from offensive changes, defensive changes, audibles. There's thousands of adjustments made just in 1 week of SFL action. To add more adjustments to be made on that list, and if the adjustments aren't made correctly, it could have a direct impact or effect on our games, and we don't necessarily want to take on the task of allowing that option and then not executing that option properly if we feel like we may not be able to do so, because we never want teams to go through all the work and trouble, and then when the game comes along, something not have been done that they wanted to be done. It's because we're operating at full capacity on our game day operations. You are hesitant to add anything to that plate that may reduce the quality of product that we are able to put out in terms of executing what owners want. Darth Destro MD asks, has the BOD discussed whenever or not we're sticking with 12-star players or potentially adding more? I think at this point we want to stick with the 12. We want to fill more player slots. We don't want to create more randomly generated players. We want to get people that want to be players into our league, and we want to sort of add and replace with those new players over the randomly generated characters as much as we possibly can. Similar to what we're doing with ownership with San Francisco, we're not looking to expand. We're just looking to build a stronger pool of owners, coaches, players, until the point that we have, all or most of those spots filled. I think the goal is to just take what we have and make it better, because there's still so much room for improvement, and that really hasn't been a primary focus. Not to say that it can't happen, it just hasn't been something that the BOD's been focused on. Dwayne Drew says, when will new owners of the new team be told before the championship game? No, there are 2 finalists now for the ownership position. They will be notified to send in their uniform codes to the league so that we can build graphics and do all of those things. We obviously don't want to give away who that team is, which is why we're contacting more than one person so that we can get graphics from both, just in case. You never know what can happen between now and the announcement, and the big announcement will be at the championship game. We want to have people attending our big game on our biggest day, not only because it should be a great game and it's a celebration of all that we've accomplished, but for all those other teams that have no direct stake in the game to show up for some league business and some league excitement that they might find interesting, or more interesting about the championship game directly. Lord Raider asks, not exactly about the address, but curious when the league's official logo will change. I see 12 stars, assuming that represented the 12 teams. We now have 16 teams. Saw a logo mock-up with 16 stars, not really crazy about it. We may make a minor adjustment to our logo in the future, but really the 12 stars represents the era of the league. We had the 8-team logo, or the 8-star logo, even when we had 7 teams, because that was sort of the initial era of the SFL. We wanted to get to 8. That was a goal, and we did. When we got to 12 teams, we sort of opened up this new era of the league. True Shot Caller came in and started the documentary project, And Destro came in and sort of transitioned us into hexing, um, and I really haven't felt like we've sort of transitioned into a new era of the SFL. I think we're getting there, but really I wasn't a fan of the 16 stars, and so there may be a little adjusting there. Maybe 4 stars for the 4 divisions atop the SFL word mark. Not really sure, but that's really why I decided to keep it as it was. I thought 16 looked a bit cluttered, and I think we could do better. AJ Pick 6 asks, if and when will SFL merchandise be available? That's a key part that we've been exploring. Obviously, D-Stalls Gaming wants to get into that space. We've had a couple of other people approach us about making SFL merchandise. It's more of a matter of what do people want, and maybe we can sort of hold that a poll or a form for people to fill out of what they would want to buy for SFL merchandise, and that may be able to sort of skew or turn our direction to products specifically, so that we, obviously when you're dealing with merchandise and stuff, you talk about, well, you're going to have inventory, or you're going to make it on a custom basis, person by person basis. There's a lot of different ways to approach the merchandising business. So I think this off season will sort of take a more direct to consumer approach, try to figure out what people would want to buy, and then make those products available somewhere down the line. I would imagine that before season 7 that we have something set up, but I thought the same after season 5 and before season 6, and it just sort of got pushed back because it didn't seem like the demand was there. We put it in our SFL fan survey towards the off season last year, and merchandise was towards the bottom of what people sort of really wanted the league to do and improve on. So if that has changed among the community, then it will definitely rise on our ladder of priorities, and we'll try to start getting those things developed. Udonsha asks, is it possible for the SFL to have 32 teams like the NFL? How would that work? Just curious. It is possible for the SFL to have 32 teams, but we would need a second basically everything. We would need a second base of operations where someone like me was just working on the league from a game standpoint, getting games played, getting changes adjusted, and we don't have those opportunities in place right now. Until we have sort of a second branch of the SFL league headquarter tree, we really don't have the management to be able to accomplish that. But it's possible that we could, but right now it's not even in the realm of possibility until we can get something established like that. I'm having a problem asking. People have more than one player in the league. We don't. If the player is not of your actual name, if it's just a player that you create, and it's totally different from your actual identity as a person, then I don't see a huge problem with that. The only problem that you run into is that you have people that don't have any player in the league that want to get in the league, and they don't get picked up because your second player got picked up. And we don't want people losing opportunities that they've never had before, when people and people that are already in the league with opportunity getting more opportunities. We don't want to go in that direction. We want people that are fresh faces to have a stake in the game too. TJ Cag SFL asks, for broadcast quality, will you add QC to commercials, maybe no cell phone ads for a professional broadcast look? Obviously, TJ Cag SFL, we want to continue to improve our quality in all aspects. It was a starting point. I think that if we had people that had more professional equipment in place, that we could sort of outsource that advertising to where if somebody wanted to make an ad for the SFL network, they could go to a member of the league that built advertisements for people and businesses and leagues and YouTube channels and anything that anyone wanted to have run on the SFL network for quality control purposes, and getting somebody or a team of people in that spot to help with our quality control in that space, I think is a lot more attractive than just any user creating any ad in any type of way. So yes, that is certainly something that we want to do to help improve the quality of our product from kickoff to post game. Landry Hat asks, will Slack replace the Facebook page and forums or work in conjunction with those two things? Slack will replace all of those things. Slack will be the place to go for everything. For example, the Pick'em on the message boards. Doug can create a Pick'em channel in the Slack group and invite anyone who wants to be a part of that, or it can be a public channel of Pick'em where people can post their guesses each week. Anything that can be done on the message boards, any documents or photos or anything that have been on our private Facebook group with owners and coaches, everything that's there can transition right into Slack, and we can get that built. Slack will take the place of our community section of our SFL website, and the headquarters of SFL Interaction will be in that Slack base. We still plan to use the Twitch chat for game days. Reason being, we don't want game night, the game night thread in Slack to constantly be dinging on people's phones if they're out to dinner or, etc. The game nights the game nights channel on Slack will have score updates so people can follow along with the game if they're not able to watch the game. But really, the Twitch chat on game nights is really the only integration of interaction with one another that will not be moved over to Slack, because the league feels that from an app standpoint, from a technology standpoint, from an interaction standpoint, bringing everyone together by far will help make the experience better, instead of having a bunch of different groups and a bunch of different places to discuss, because everyone just picks their favorite place to go to and talks with the people that are there in that group. And we don't want to divide our community. We need to bring it together. AJ Pick 6 asks, is there any plans in the works for adding more commentators on a regular basis for other networks? There is a plan to add another commentator or two. We don't necessarily want it to be in direct conflict with the main game, because from what I've heard from people that watched the SFL throughout the season is that they liked having me on the main network and the other two games on the other channels, because all the volumes could stay on without commentary interfering on all the three channels. If you had commentary on all three games, for example, you couldn't really watch all three with audio at the same time, because it would all conflict. And if you wanted to listen to one game commentated and another one, you'd have to mute and unmute back and forth on different channels, and it seemed like something that people really liked, having the one main game and then other sort of bonus games to watch. But there have been a couple people that have expressed interest in wanting to get into the play-by-play stuff, and that is pretty easy to accomplish in terms of sending games to these commentators and having them do it, and having them stream it, and having them being a part of the SFL Network family. So it can be done. We're looking into it, and that goes back to the quality control standpoint. Obviously, we want all of those games to be well-produced games. So it would be a sort of a trial process to make sure that all of that is secured. But sure, that's not out of the possibility at all. Jason1347 asks, can we get 2K post-game shows for non-commentated games? The reason why we don't do that is because we produce our own post-game show, and we think that it works with our league identity. We think that it's a good write-up of all of the action. And next year, instead of posting all the highlights and all that stuff, we'll just post those post-game shows on YouTube so people can get the gist of what happened that night. If we show 2K Sports post-game reports on the non-commentated games, everyone sees all the stats. There's no reason to go and check out our SFL post-game show, and we're trying to drive traffic to the main game at all times so that we can drive up viewership and we can drive up the quality of our broadcast, so that even if your team didn't play on the main game that night, you still have a reason to tune in late to see some final numbers, some final stats before they hit the DAC Stats page or they hit our website. So that's the reasoning for that, and we plan to pretty much keep it that way. Does anyone have any other questions for us this evening? Again, after I'm done with the State of the League address, owners will get the invite to the SFL Slack page, and players and coaches will not be far behind as we build a new SFL online on your phones, on your computers, and we connect together for this next era of SFL. By the way, anyone that has ever applied to be a player, coach, or owner, we have all of the emails. So all those invites will be sent out. So we've got your information. If you've never applied to be a player, coach, or owner, and you want to be a part of the SFL Slack team, make sure at some point to send us your email at simulationfl@gmail.com so that we can get that invite out to you. And so others within the league can invite you. Friends, anyone that we may have missed up to this point in the invite process. We want to get as many SFL enthusiasts in there as we can to get conversations started. All right, well, it looks like that's it. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the SFL State of the League address. This will be up on YouTube ASAP as we get ready for the conference championship games Sunday at 3 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Central. And we look forward to a bright off season and a brighter future in Season 7 and beyond in the Simulation Football League. Well, we got one more question. Will there be a live weekly or pre-recorded YouTube show with Landry Hatton and Simulation FL next season? It's just a playoff show. AJ picked 6. I just don't have the time to do it with Steven during the regular season, and he probably doesn't either, especially with his expanded role within the league. It's just an extra bonus playoff show to provide more hype and commentary. But glad to know that you wanted every week all year long. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been the SFL State of the League address, and we'll talk to y'all later.